Now what you just noticed there is a chunk of oil burning, gushing out of the exhaust. Now let's take a look at it again and see some elements. Now you can see down here there are some deposits of some carbon soot, which looks like it's mixed with some oil. Now we also want to take another sample from touching it here. Take a look at it. You can see now this is not enough, but if you touch it, like you can see it on my hand right now, if it is greasy and not just black soot, then that's an indicative of oil burning as much as fuel. So in this case, this one is greasy like a paint, so it's burning oil. Now we have to find out exactly why it's burning oil. Engine can burn oil for several reasons. There are some other, if suppose it's just a white smoke that comes out of it, like the one you're seeing on the picture here, then that could be indicative of just a steam that is gathered on in the exhaust system, which often just come out in the morning. Now for this oil which we're looking at right now, this smoke which we're looking at, if suppose this oil just only showed blue smoke in the morning, I mean the kind of smoke that you saw there in the morning, and after the engine heats up, it stops bringing out that smoke, then that is not a sign of a bad engine. That's a sign of a defective valve stem seals. I showed you valve stem. I'm going to be showing you valve stem seals on the screen right now, so you know what valve stem seals. And those valve stem seals can be found within here. So that's kind of a major repair. It's not something you can do by yourself, right? Because when you lose out this very top cylinder head, there is a timing belt here. If you don't set that timing belt very well, there's going to be a lot of problem with the valve. So that timing has to be set very well with the valve so that the piston won't come to hit the valve. If it is wrongly set, it's going to damage the valve and you're going to incur more problem, likely almost about replacing the top, except you have to go and replace all those bent valve. It's very commonly it's common with this very model. These are Peugeot, but for some other cars you might not be able to come across it with with the system bending valve, even if the timing is not well set. The other side, like this one we're talking about here, which a chunk of smoke is coming out. Now, in order to be able to diagnose that very proficiently as a DIY or a car enthusiast, in this case, we're seeing some kind of sign. For some cars, they're going to have some kind of, between this top cylinder, there is a separation here, right? And that separation here is the top cylinder is different from the top cylinder cover here. So that cover, if suppose the material, the silicone which they're using sealing it, is now some sort of depleted, it can allow some oil slippage to pass from this very point here into the cylinder if you lose out the spark plugs. And if you lose out this very spark plug right now, you're going to be seeing evidence that it's actually seriously burning oil, and that's for quite a long time, and this guy didn't know. And what actually do cause this? You might try to actually want to try out your seafoam product and get it into the system and leave it to stay there like 5 minutes. Crank the engine, but don't try to start it, and leave it again. Perform it like 5 times. When you do this, you are just allowing the seafoam to get in between the piston rings, the number one, the 2 compression rings there, and the oil control rings. So when it does that, if there have been some sort of sludge in the oil that has gotten inside while it's burning, that makes the piston rings to clamp on the piston, they're all going to release. And when they release, then the engine is going to stop smoking. So most often times when the engine starts smoking and burning oil, like I showed you at the context of this very video here, it doesn't mean that the piston rings are bad. They are just clamping, they are just embracing, they are just bracing intactly on the piston. But meanwhile, it's not supposed to be so. It's actually supposed to be lapping against the cylinder wall, spread on the cylinder wall, and just having a groove with the piston so that it can move it up and down. But when it gets clamped, it allows oil passage from the engine oil compartment into the combustion chamber, and that is where you see it at the tailpipe. Now, suppose the smoke which you're seeing is whitish, like I said, whitish in color, like cloudy, whitish, you know. What that signifies is some point, if your car is equipped with turbo, then there could be every tendency that there is coolant missing inside with the engine oil burning together. So when that happens, I mean coolant burning inside the burning alongside with the fuel. When it happens, it comes out as a some sort of a white smoke like the one I'm showing you on the screen here. And most of the times you can also perceive it inside the car when you're driving. So the oil seals inside the turbo actually do leak. So far those are among the top 4 cause of car smoking. So the first one that is actually due to condensation inside the exhaust system. That is often most of the time when you start a car in the morning that the car is extremely cold. That is when you actually get those phenomenon, some sort of white smoke ejecting out of the tailpipe. Now, on the other side, which you also have to understand about the oil, I mean the car burning oil, is that engine, the engine oil, is it overgauged? Because I think it's actually having the tendency of triggering the oil getting burned out. Now, for this very car, how do you determine the right gauge of the oil? When you pull out the dipstick like this one here, there is a notch. You can see the first notch there, and you see the second notch. Let me put it somewhere here. Now, the one on the down part is the lowest, while the one on the top is the maximum. Now, you can see on this very car here, you need to find a paper towel to clean it up and dip it again. And in 1 second, you should bring it out and check it. Now, you have to do this when you have not started the engine, because if you did it after starting the engine, the oil might have circulated a lot into different channels of the engine, so you are getting a false information. So what you need to do is, first thing before you start the car in the morning, you need to pull out this dipstick and take a look at it. If it's just within the top notch mark you can see right there, and the one in bit and the down one, then that's okay, but it shouldn't exceed the one on the top. But if suppose you started the car and you gauged it and the engine oil is above this top notch here, which you can see, right, the one closer to the spring, then your car engine oil is overgauged, and there is a very serious problem that's going to be actually attributed to that. First of all, your catalytic converter is going to actually pay for it heavily, aside clogging the catalytic converter and destroying it. The engine also is going to suffer the consequences, because it's going to be bringing a lot into the combustion chamber, which is going to deplete the sparks, ignition spark plugs that are performing the igniting the air fuel mixture for the car to start. So you're going to be seeing a lot of evidence of it. So if I lose this one right now, you're going to be seeing a lot of those. So it's going to create a lot of engine underperformance, engine vibration, engine instability, and loss of power. So that's pretty much it. So guys, I hope this very video helped you to completely narrow down the root cause of why your car is bringing out white smoke at the tailpipe. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and I gotta catch you guys later. This is Dr. Fix. Bye for now.